I'm finally doing it. The everything I own as an extreme minimalist 2025. Because I do get requested to do one of these once a year. I think that minimalists and extreme minimalists alike just in general find it a little bit of fun to see what somebody else owns. And as always, it has to come with a disclaimer. We are talking about everything that I own personally, i.e. if you are traveling to things like hotels, you're living in Airbnbs, you obviously don't have things like crockery and furniture or shared possessions. These are my own personal possessions that I choose to keep. And also what I find quite interesting about videos like this is all the different things that we all choose to keep, because clearly we all have different lifestyles. So this is what suits my lifestyle, my climate, being that it is a 4-season climate. And as I show you these things, I'm going to also discuss how this has changed throughout the last couple of years and from previous everything I own extreme minimalist possession tours, shall we call them. Let's get going. But first of all, let me tell you all that right here in the background, I haven't got my clothes because I did a clothes, all the clothes that I own video only about 3 weeks ago. So if you want to see that, I will link that down below. But at the end of this video, we will be including that in the overall amount of possessions, as I know that is what some of you want to know. Some of you do want to know how many possessions it is that I own, but don't enjoy the counting throughout, and we all know that counting isn't what minimalism is about, but some people want to know, so I will tell you that at the end. The other tiny little caveat that I'm going to put on this video is that everybody in minimalism counts things differently. Some people count sort of a set as a set, like lingerie, or they may even count 2 socks as separate items rather than a pair. I personally, classic example, I don't count things that I class as a set. So for instance, this phone and the phone case, to some people they would count it as 2 different things, but since the phone case would kind of be redundant without the phone itself, I count them as one thing. You'll see a little bit of that throughout. For instance, the laptop cover and the laptop. I don't count the laptop cover as an extra separate item because it would be redundant without the laptop itself. So that being said, let's get right into everything that I own that is not my clothing that I counted in my general clothing items of my 33 item wardrobe a few weeks ago. But I am going to show you all the other things that I didn't cover in that video, such as shoes, accessories, coats and bags, along with everything else that I own, which is quite a bit of tech now, but I believe it is still under 100 items to quantify myself, for those extreme minimalist police out there, as an extreme minimalist. So where shall we begin? Shall we begin with the accessories? Let's get right into it. Now, a few of these things have definitely changed, because for a long time I thought that I really didn't need a belt, and that is where things really begin to differ a little bit in extreme minimalism, because for a long time I did just want to have the least amount of possessions possible, because living in such a small home and knowing that I was going to travel, I just knew that the less I had, the easier it would be. But as it's taking us quite a bit of time to save up to go traveling, because we're also going with the aim of buying our future home, so it's taking a lot, I decided that in the meantime there were a few little comforts that I wanted. So where I previously got rid of a belt because I didn't like that particular one, I have re-got a smaller basic belt. I find that it just really does, when you've got an extreme minimalist wardrobe, help kind of jazz things up a little bit. So what is next on here? We'll try to go around this way. Next, I have this hammam hoodie. And I think it is an ingenious idea for people that are trying to be extreme minimalists or minimalist travelers. You can lay it out as your towel, or you can actually wear it, because it is a hoodie. And I found it was great because it's like a dressing gown, a towel and a hoodie all in one. Great for if you are also fair skinned like me, when you're going on holiday and you want to put your little hood up. cover your head and your scalp for a little bit on the beach and not burn. Great idea. Sunglasses. With this one, I have broke the cardinal sin of minimalism in that I have two. I actually have a duplicate. Now, it might not stay like this, as many of you who are regulars know. My lifestyle changes quite a bit depending on what I'm doing, and sometimes I do decide to swap a few things out. That's also a reason why I like to thrift things, so that we're not sort of constantly in a consumerist cycle of buying new. But I have been doing a lot of filming this year, and what I've learned is how incredibly hard it is to film outside when it is sunny. When you're just kind of dressed down, running errands around town, perhaps doing a vlog, the posher shades aren't always fitting with the outfit. So this may be very, 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 very taboo in minimalist circles, but I have two pairs of sunglasses, and you guessed that right, they're green. I have a green pair and a black pair, since they seem to be the main colours that I have. So that being said, let's move on to the next thing. We will save those other two fiddly items for last. Moving on to little accessories that I have because of my hair. Now, yes, could we all have very short hair and save on having around perhaps 20 possessions? Yes, we could, but I rather like having long hair, especially because I actually find it easier than shorter hair to a degree, and although it means having a few more items, because it means if I have a day where my hair absolutely drives me to the edge of insanity, I can simply curl it all up in a bun, clip it out of the way, and it is completely out of my way. Whereas I feel like we can't really do that if we have short hair that's shortish and we can't tie back, unless of course we shaved our entire heads. So what do I have to control my hair? I have a headband for the winter and a headband for the summer. And part of the reason I have to say that I care about this more than I would do, say, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, is when I am out and about filming, it literally blows my hair everywhere. I live by the coast. I end up with hair strewn across my face like this. And it is a nightmare when you're filming. I probably wouldn't care about going out and getting my hair blown everywhere if it wasn't for the fact I was making YouTube videos. But I've begun to realise over the course of a couple of years now on YouTube that a lot of the things that I do have are definitely as a result of having a YouTube channel, whereas otherwise I probably wouldn't care as much about them. And keeping my hair in order whilst I'm on camera is one of them, because it's not very nice for a viewer who can't see my face whilst I'm talking to them. So that is what we do there. So I also have a clip for that reason. Could I just have a bobble? Yes. But what I learned when I did one of my experiments where I live with a lot less, such as the time that I tried to live with only sort of 10 items for a month, you really miss a simple thing like a clip, especially when you are straightening your hair. And why do I straighten my hair? Because it is incredibly curly and it annoys me when it's curly. You know, none of us really have to justify the choices that we make. We make the choices still within extreme minimalism based on what we value, albeit to a lot lesser scale. Is still what we value, appreciate, and makes our life more comfortable and little everyday things less annoying and perhaps a bit more convenient. And I know that having straighter hair makes it easier for me to even tie my hair back, and then it stops it itching my face. I've made these decisions for a reason that suits me and my lifestyle. If you are somebody that loves having short hair and definitely has straight hair that's easier to style, you know, you might not need any of these things. You might even be one of these people that's happy to just sort of tie your hair in a knot instead of having a bobble. That is not something I could do. It would be quite difficult to even untangle my hair if I did that because of its texture. Whilst we're on the subject of bobbles as well, let me also say a few things this time around that have changed, in that sometimes in the past I actually counted not just a scrunchy bobble, because that is like a permanent fixture, I've had it for years, but I used to also count like elastics in with this everything I own. I was thinking the other day that actually elastics aren't a permanent fixture, for the fact that they kind of break, and I've even been getting eco-friendly ones, but they seem to, when you twist them round a few times, they last sort of the maximum of a few weeks and then break. So that's not something anymore that I'm considering to be a permanent item, and therefore, as you've probably seen from what is gathered around me here, I'm not counting consumables, albeit I don't have much or many. I'm not counting consumables in these items. We do have a hair scrunchie, and somewhere, guys, I do have a black velvet hair scrunchie, and I couldn't for the life of me find it to do this video this morning, but I have made a list to share with you all at the end of all the items, so that you know that for once I haven't actually forgotten any. What do we have next? We have to have a Tangle Tease hairbrush, because with my long hair it would be almost impossible to not have a hairbrush. For a while I did try to have my winter headband instead of a hat, but it didn't always keep all my head dry, as I learned. And it's quite nice, little tip that I do, instead of having an umbrella, I twist my hair up, I tuck it in the back of my hat, it keeps all my hair dry until I get to my destination, and then my hair is dry. I do that instead of having an umbrella. A lot of people ask, how do you live in such a wet and cold climate without an umbrella? That is how. That's how I do it. We have lingerie sets. I currently have 3 lingerie sets, you know, top and bottom. I'm classing it as a set because they're matching, they came together. Shoes. Now, I didn't cover this in the wardrobe video, so I am going to cover it now. I currently have 4 pairs of shoes. Now, if I'm honest, I don't really need this pair, you know. Where are the others? It's a sandal just like this, but what is the thing that still makes me think I would like to keep them is they are a little bit dressier than my Birkenstocks. I also have quite a few green dresses, so it goes with all those nice green things. My barefoot shoes. These are trail running shoes. They're great because you can use them for every day, you can use them for running as the name suggests, and you can use them for hiking, and they are incredibly comfortable. And you just saw the Birkenstocks. They're also great as slippers, everyday use, and you can, to a degree, dress them up. I just kind of think that the green ones are a little bit dressier. Then what else have we got around here, guys? We've got the green Uggs. Now, when these Uggs eventually wear out, albeit if you look after them, they can sort of last 10 or 15 years, I don't know if I would replace them. I do like them for the fact that they're comfortable. They can almost be like slippers in the winter, but I think I'd have something a little bit more hardier that could also be dressed up. Know that they're not as waterproof as, say, other fabrics, so I did used to have some Doc Martens. Maybe I'd go back to something like that, but perhaps in a Chelsea boot style that can also be dressed up. Occasionally for very formal events, I have to try and either borrow something or thrift something, and then I give it away afterwards. But for the most part, the sandals kind of work for that, unless it is in the winter. The one weird thing though is that in the UK, everyone seems to have things like weddings in the summer, which is kind of a blessing because then I can wear my sandals. Right, so what else do we have? We currently have 3 pairs of socks. I have these 2 fluffy ones and I have a trainer sock. Now, what is absolutely bizarre is I used to have 3 of these, and even though I don't have many items, 2 have gone missing. Where have they gone? I've looked inside my duvet, I've looked everywhere. The sock monster has definitely got them. So when they went, I decided that actually I was missing having longer fluffy ones, especially in the winter. Also, I get very, very cold feet, which is something that I didn't realise until after I got rid of my fluffier ones in the past and I just had them. So I'm enjoying having the fluffy ones. Even in the house sometimes in the summer, they help keep my feet warm, and I actually, this is maybe a split decision, guys, I actually do like sleeping in socks, especially in the winter when it's really, really cold, which I don't do when I'm traveling, but at home I do actually quite like to do. Drop me a sock emojis in the comments if you also like sleeping in your socks. Next, I have a sports bra, also complete transparency, I have a green one of these. I'm going to discuss this at the end, anything that couldn't be in the background of this video, because it is in the wash, which is obviously one of the pitfalls of being an extreme minimalist, that you are constantly washing things. But I would prefer to do that. I would prefer to have things that I constantly wash and wear than have loads of things, sorry about that, phone going off, than have loads of things that just take up space in our small home. So I have a green one of these, and it's kind of not just a sports bra, but almost like a support vest, in that it does come to your actual waistband, so you don't feel like it's really a crop top, but it does have support in it. It's a sports bra, but could double up as a top if you want, so kind of underwear, but could be a top, particularly obviously if you're going to the gym and things. Probably two of my favourite items, my linen scarves from Greece. They are organic linen, and they are reversible. And I feel like I say this every single time, but you know, sometimes viewers may be new, so I have to re-say it. As you can see, this is reversible too, but this is the thing that I always say. I love how diverse this is. I can wear it as a poncho, I can wear it instead of an umbrella, and I could wear it as a good old-fashioned scarf. They are very, very multifunctional. What has also changed a little bit, for many, many years, I used to just sleep in either my underwear or nothing, and then this year we have just about had the coldest winter that I can remember. It was snowing in November. So I actually decided to start sometimes wearing something to bed, and that was a pair of sweats, sometimes even my hoodie. I was actually wearing a hoodie and sweats in bed, it was that cold. They are currently in the wash. As I said, I will mention the whole list of stuff at the end. But on the days where they were in the wash and I still wanted to wear something, I have actually got a linen gown, like a linen dressing gown. I won't get that fully out because it will make a mess of our little display, but you get the picture. The bane of many of our lives, I have a mobile phone. That is my mum and my partner Johnny on the phone. I realise that I always call my partner, and maybe some of you would like to know his name as well. His name is Johnny, my mum's name is Maggie, and there they are. And he has just written me a message. I will reply to him and be right back to you. I had my phone on loud this morning, guys, because I have been waiting for an important phone call, but now it's on loud for notifications. But I've just turned it off because just before filming this I did actually have the phone call, so it's okay. Next, one thing that I get asked a lot about on this channel is what I do with all my paperwork as an extreme minimalist. Now, if you would like to know more about what is inside here, I have got a YouTube short on this. I will also link that down below in the description. But it's basically organised into 3 files that I call personal, financial, and I think there may be a certificate one. And then in the front, and it is a miniature linen photograph album that opens up quite flat so it will fit in the front, and it is 20 of my favourite pictures. They have monsteras on the back of them, but it is or nice little quotes. It is 20 of my favourite pictures, and it is the only thing that I keep in hard copy. Some minimalists don't, but I do. And it all fits in there because most of the time I digitise everything. I scanned and digitised all my other photographs, all my other paperwork. I asked to go completely paperless. Most things like my banking, but there's the odd thing like certificates that I do need to keep in there, but it is quite small. We have a laptop. I'm sure you all know what a laptop looks like, but we have a laptop and a laptop cover. And like I said at the beginning, I don't count those as separate things because why would I have a laptop cover if I didn't have a laptop? So that is all the little bits and pieces that I own, nearly, that that are not in my immediate clothing. But a couple of last things. You may be all noticing this in the background, because would I need this if I didn't have a YouTube channel? No, I wouldn't. I would just have all this other stuff. But because I've been getting really into my YouTube channel, it is my hobby. You know, many people ask, what are your hobbies as an extreme minimalist? And the truth is, you know, the YouTube channel is one of the hobbies. You know, it's one of my enjoyments in life. So I do have equipment to do that. I also do other things that are away from the home, like hiking, running, fitness, cooking. So we have shared items for that. I also like to do pottery and ceramics, where you can go to classes for that. I also like horse riding. I had horses growing up. I will eventually go back to that at some point in my future. But for now, it is mainly the YouTube channels that are my hobbies as well. And for that, I do have tech. And I realise that when I do eventually travel or emigrate, it is going to actually be quite awkward travelling with all my tech, because we have to do that whole thing where we get it all out at the airport, don't we? And then I realised that we are allowed to carry a tech bag. So most airlines will allow you to have a cabin bag, a carry-on, but also a kind of tech or laptop case. So I believe that all the stuff that I own would actually be allowed in a carry-on. So all the tech that I own, obviously my laptop can fit in the back of there, it fits in here. There is currently 2 microphones, 2 cameras and 2 tripods. I'm obviously using one of each now, but it all fits in here. So, I mean, do you count that as one item because it's, you know, tech equipment for the YouTube channel, or do you count it as 6 items? Entirely up to you. I said I would come back to these little things before we move on to something else, so I will, because these are a few of the tricky, problematic things. So this is my little jewellery pouch. Do I just count the pouch, or do I count the like 4 pairs of earrings that are in there? Again, entirely up to you. I'm calling it a jewellery pouch. Then in here, now I haven't quite done this yet, but this is my intention over the next few days. This may be quite... Is my phone still ringing? What's going on? This may be quite a rare thing as a minimalist, even more so as an extreme minimalist, but I do actually have a few remaining sentimental items as an extreme minimalist. Now, I am now classing this as one thing because I am making one thing from them all. This I am calling my sentimental item tapestry. And I am going to actually maybe hang it up somewhere, have it somewhere where it actually hangs as a tapestry with all the items on it that are sentimental to me, that at the moment I have chosen to keep. Now I can't currently hold it up because I am yet to sew them on, but I have got it. I intend to sew, I don't know whether you can all see, so I will get an image of this at the end, but I intend to sew all these little items onto there. There are about 6 items, and I'm just going to sew them all over that little tapestry so we have a sentimental item tapestry. What is missing? Haha, the last big thing that is awkward and definitely wouldn't fit in the space. Let me go get the stuff and we will move back so you can see. I'll be right back. So, this bundle of stuff would definitely not fold up within this space for me to show you all, but I am pretty confident that it would all fit in my suitcase and my Patagonia bag. So let's discuss quite a few extra things that I've got this year. At one time, I think I mentioned this earlier, I got all my possessions down to 63 items because I was really focusing on wanting very few items. But now, like I said, I'm focusing on having a little bit of comfort in the time before we do go away travelling. I honestly at this point don't know what I will do with some of the bigger clothing items when I go away. Maybe I will ask my mum to store them in just one bag. I'm not sure. I might just decide to gift them away to a charity store. But these are a few things that I have actually gained over the last year since doing my last one of these videos. So I had to get a formal coat for the very, very sad reason that it was my grandma's funeral in the middle of winter. On that, there is a forget-me-not for my grandma. Now, many of you may recognise this jacket because I've had it a very long time. This is really my little summer jacket that always stays in my possessions really, as I think it's very good. It would even be good for travelling. It does fold up quite small. This I got for my recent trip to Ireland, as I did need something waterproof. As for many years, as many of you were shocked by, I didn't even have a waterproof coat living in the UK because I would just go out and accept that I was going to get wet and then come back and get dry. It didn't bother me getting wet, but since I was going to somewhere that is even wetter than the UK, going to Ireland, it was actually very, very wet because we did go to Ireland as well as Northern Ireland. My Kanken bag, it has come in so handy, this Kanken bag for little trips. It is the bag that I did take with me to Ireland. At one point I did say that I was just going to have a very small bag and then my big bag. This is great for weekend trips, which is what we do a lot of at the moment. It is good. Now that doesn't mean to say, you all remember perhaps my most successful video on YouTube, the living with just a bum bag of possessions. At some point I am going to go somewhere where I only take my bum bag. I would love to experience that, living with hardly anything, with just the bum bag. But sometimes when we go to dressier cities that have a bit more of a dress code, I need a bit more. So for that, I take the Kanken bag. So we have these two bags. I feel like they all go inside each other. For instance, as you all know, I don't have much storage in this property, so I do just tend to store them all inside each other, almost like one of the Russian doll things. Like the bum bag goes inside the Kanken bag, and the Kanken bag goes inside the Patagonia bag, and the Patagonia bag goes inside the suitcase, which you're all about to see in a minute. But let's just continue with this. A new little purchase, guys. I actually decided that I was really missing having a bag so that when I go to town, because recently, as you all know, and this is a classic example of when your lifestyle sometimes means that you might need another item. We've been having a load of work done on our property. It's been incredibly noisy. It's gone on for nearly a month. I couldn't work in the house. Could I put that in my Kanken bag and just go out? I probably could have, but I wanted something that was just easy to just slip inside and go out the door. And that is just so easy to be able to slip the laptop and nip out the door without having to like pack a whole bag. Then inside here I have this, but we're gonna do something right here, right now. I got this wallet because I thought it was really minimalist and cool, like this little wooden wallet that kept all my cards inside. But it is so tricky trying to get the card out when you're at the counter trying to pay for something. I don't think it's very practical, so I'm actually going to declutter this today because I realised when I was actually setting up this video and getting all the stuff out to film, it just doesn't get used. It's ended up being a storage device for all my cards at home, because in general when I go out I will either pay on my phone or just take one card out with me in my back pocket or even in my little black bag now. So that black bag has become my everyday carry because I've been taking my laptop out to work, so I don't need this. This is going to be decluttered. I didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to do that noise, right. The other coat. Many people would consider these just to be jackets, and I suppose I would really, because they're not waterproof. I suppose really that is the only one that's actually a coat because it's waterproof, and these are sort of jackets and blazers. So you could say that I've got 3 jackets and 3 blazers and an actual coat. This is one of the other jackets that I showed you all a few weeks back, and I loved it because it is multifunctional as a minimalist. It is suede on one side, faux suede, and it is like a bogue boucle effect on another. We're always looking for the multifunctional things to kind of just reduce your items as much as possible, but not at the detriment of being uncomfortable or feeling like you are living in a state of deprivation. And don't get me wrong when I say that, there have been periods where I have loved to have less and just have things that I just really need, but I'm going through a little bit of a phase of having some comfort, particularly to do with creating videos, I have to say. Like a lot of the stuff in my hair, even some of the stuff like having more practical coats to go out in, because I'm going out more as well to film, it has definitely had an impact on my possessions. These are 2 blazers. I got one of these for a wedding and decided to keep it because I liked it. I got one sort of in a grey linen and one in a cream linen. So, I don't know about you guys, but I am, after all the travelling and even these packing videos, the master of packing. And even though it creates a lot of wrinkles, I can make quite a big jacket like this. If you get all the air out of it, I can get them to be as small as that. You can also put things in compression bags. So I am, like I said, pretty confident that I could fit all this in my suitcase and my Patagonia bag, which I'm about to get you in 1 minute. I have this other little jacket. It's kind of like a jacket cardigan, but I sort of class it as a jacket, like an extra outer layer. Then this, guys. Now to some people it may be classed as a bag. I think at one point I even did use it as my everyday carry bag, but that isn't what it was advertised as in the shop. It was advertised as a travel wallet, which is really why I don't need the wooden wallet, which I just discarded over there, because it has got, let me show you all actually a little bit up closer, it has got all these things for storing your cards in. So it's meant to be for travel documents like your passport, so you really don't need a wallet as well. Let me get the suitcase so that you can see all the actual items that I own that's not my 33 wardrobe items, which I showed you a few weeks ago, and then I will discuss how this has changed since the last few types of these videos that I did. Right, we may have gone momentarily a little bit darker, and that is because my battery was exhausted, because a lot of these videos tend to be quite long. I do like to discuss how things have changed. A lot of people that are trying to declutter and be even more minimalist often want to know the decisions behind what choices I've made, so that it may even help them on their minimalist journey and in their minimalist lifestyle. So that is why I try to be quite descriptive in why I've chosen what I have. So the last 2 items, the suitcase. Now at one point I said I was going to share this suitcase with my partner because I thought that I would perhaps go with very few items, that we would just have our backpack and therefore only need perhaps half of this suitcase each. That is my Patagonia backpack. It does go a little bit taller and extendable. I haven't fully made up my mind about when I go what I want to take. Part of me thinks I would like to take as little as possible, but in the meantime there are a few extra jackets and coats that I've been keeping because we have been having an incredibly cold winter. These may depart before we go, in which case all this would quite easily fit in my backpack and my suitcase. Some of you may be thinking, well, she appears to have quite a few more items, and yet there are items missing that weren't here the last few times. You are right. I have been thinking long and hard about what I would actually need whilst I was travelling and the type of traveller that I am. Now I I'm a little bit of a foodie, and I do actually love trying local cuisine and street food. So I actually began to question why, for all these videos that I've been doing, I had always been considering what I would take when I went travelling, or what I do take when I go travelling. I don't ever take my stainless steel water bottle or my stainless steel little canteen lunchbox. I just don't take it. I'll use that here in this country for if we're going for a picnic or we're going on a long distance journey within this country. But do I take it when I go travelling? No. Because I think one of the enjoyments for me whilst travelling is trying drinks out, trying food out, trying all the local cultures. So I just wouldn't take those items with me. So we will keep those items whilst ever we're living in this property, but I think they actually may be an item that gets left behind, because I enjoy coffee out, as many of you have probably noticed by now, and there are options that you can do that are also eco-friendly, such as choosing to not have it in a takeout cup and sitting in the place and enjoying it and having it in the ceramic cup. I think that's the choice I'm going to make. So where we have gained some items, bulky items I might add, but that is just really for the UK, we have downsized in other areas. So guys, how many items is it? Let me reel you off what all these items are. I've had to move angles a tiny little bit, but this is all the stuff, or as we always say in minimalism, this is everything I own. It actually is 85 possessions, but depending on how you count it, i.e. if you want to count my jewellery separately and my tech things in my tech bag separately, it actually comes to 99 items. So just under 100 possessions for all those people wanting to know what everything I own actually is. And I actually do think it actually condenses to quite a small volume, which is something more that I'm concerned with more than numbers. How small it will be to be able to travel with it or emigrate and move around, physically moving your possessions. And I think that all these would roll up quite small and fit in my suitcase. And I've currently, since the last shot, all my bags are all inside one another, and even that can fit inside there. So it all does begin, once you learn how to pack well, it all does condense quite easily and quite succinctly. This is the updated version of everything I own, 99 items. I will include the list here, like I said I would, of everything that I own, the rundown. I know that some people like to see it in a little bit of an order, so this is a little bit of a structure of the clothing, then the bags, then the shoes, then the accessories, and then my tech, and then more of my sort of personal items, things for personal care like hairbrushes and headbands and things. But yeah, it's 99, so it has gone up from the last time that I did this. The last time I did it, it was sort of 63 items. Do I care? No, because it enables me to live with just that tiny little bit more comfort. Does it mean to say that it won't go down again before I go travelling? Probably not, because I have learned many times through travelling that your possessions really do begin to own you when you are travelling, and you feel like you are just lugging things around everywhere. I've even had occasions where a backpack of sort of the size of the Kanken has felt like a lot if you have to carry it with you all day on a hot day, which is why for certain trips that might be coming up, you may very well be seeing me travel with just my bum bag. Hope you've all enjoyed this video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!